But that bank pre-approval was used over and over and over again to over 2 or 3 different projects because they hadn't
Different
closed
banks.
on those projects. The contractual commitment didn't form part of the TDS or GDS ratios that the bank was using in order to assess. You use this appraisal over 2 or 3 separate projects and are in a world of hurt and cannot close.
Mark, how are people closing the deals? What are they doing? What kind of hoops are they jumping through to actually close some of these with the appraisals being short and the deposits being light and the people not wanting to buy them anymore? What are they doing?
Let's remember for one thing, we're just talking in an aggregate sense, right? The builders, the properties that are not appraising, the huge misappraisals took place in the freehold market largely because the worst appraised properties were in Paris, Ontario, where people were paying $1 million for a property that was valued at $600,000 about 3-4 years ago. The condo market experienced the meteoric rise, but not the same as like the peripheral freehold markets of Caledon and Paris and God knows what. The huge misappraisals took place in the freehold and stacked townhome kind of products in these areas that frankly no one ever really wanted to live in, and then kind of people moved into. And because the construction timeline of that is really a year or a year and a half, we're kind of coming to the end of the freehold shit show, if you will. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on the show, but I'm wearing a mustache, so I figure I get some leeway.
Don't fucking swear.
Right, exactly. So I mean, at the end of the day, the huge appraisal difference took place in the freehold, and that's coming to an end. Now, there still is appraisal
That's
difference.
coming to an end? Why? Why is it coming to an end? That whole cycle?
No, 2-year timelines max.
I'm not saying it's not saying
the peak of the markets
entirely. I'm saying to you in the freehold space where the appraisals were the greatest, it's coming to an end.
So where people were picketing, is it those sites where everybody was going bananas and picketing?
It was those ones. Those ones were really bad. Now,
what happened with those ones? Did you have clients in those situations? Like, what did they do? Like,
well, in one case, I think a builder agreed. Actually, it was a very smart move by one builder. One builder said, if everyone agrees to pump in $100,000 more right now as a deposit, we'll lower your price by $50,000. Which I actually thought was very astute. Like, grab more security.
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
Do this, and the reason they did that was because the reason they did this is because the reason they did this is because they still had product to sell. And so they knew that if they were going to continue to resell the product, everyone would misappraise anyways. And they'd just be dealing with people who were defaulting. So it was actually a very smart strategy in that regard.
Just firms them up more.
It does.
And they weren't expecting probably 300 grand of that sale price, because when they had first bought the land, they were projecting it back in 2016. So when they sold it in 2021, 2022, it's like, we're getting how much for them now? Right?
Yeah.
But that's what we talked about, is when all that shit was happening, we were like, these guys have to know what they're doing. Like, the builders knew that the performa, said this, and now it's like, holy shit. Like, how is this going to work out well? Some of them had to have been sitting there going, this is not going to be good. Like, I don't know.
Let's see if they pay it. Let's see if they pay it.
Let's see.
TK asked an interesting question, right? He said, like, okay, so what happens in your office? And the answer is, one of the interesting factors over the past 5 years has been that in addition to you signing your agreement, you've been signing with your parents. And because everyone is in the pot, everyone has been in the lobster pot while it's been boiling. Everyone is coming up with monies. And the thing about parents is it's almost a forced intergenerational transfer of wealth in order to keep your kid afloat, not because you even like your kid. After all, your kid is the one that got you into this problem, but just because your name is on the agreement as well. Like, what else are you going to do? You got to kind of come up with it. So what we have is people who are coming up with money partially because so many co-signers are there, and therefore you've roped many people into the problem. You have a lot of people who are coming up with funds, borrowing and stealing, because people still have some gas in the engine from previous refinances that were taking place before 2021. That's kind of quickly depleting.
But hold on a sec. All
Um,
those guarantors were to help get to the finish line with the stress test. But we're like light years past the stress test numbers now. So all those
totally
people
are.
that had like 4 guarantors just to get to the 5 1/4 or whatever, now they have to qualify at like who knows what, right? 8 or something like that. No, like they need like 8 more guarantors. Are lenders still allowing that game to happen even?
Sure.
Sure. Hey,
Sure,
load
they're
it
allowed
up.
that game. That game is kosher. That game is
Kosher.
actually kosher. It's like, okay, that's
Wow.
fine. These people are the people who are on the agreements. That's actually a kosher game. There's a million games that are not kosher. That one there is kosher. The one that I think is getting people into like the most trouble. You don't see it all that. You don't see it. It's not something that is such a frequent occurrence that I think it's a systemic problem, but it happens with regularity. Is the person who went ahead and purchased 2, 3, 4 pre-constructions because they had gone ahead and purchased successfully a pre-construction in 2012. They sold it in 2016 for a profit.
Geniuses, we call them. Yeah.
Right. And they bought it in 2016 and then they sold in 2019. And by that point, they knew how to work the system. And one of the things that they could work was the idea that, okay, they're sitting on this cash. Now let's buy based on a pre-approval, which comes from a bank. But that bank pre-approval was used over and over and over again to over 2 or 3 different projects because they hadn't
Different
closed
banks.
on those projects. And the contractual commitment didn't form part of the TDS or GDS ratios that the bank was using in order to assess. So people actually took this appraisal and went over it and did 2 or 3 separate appraisals. You use this appraisal over 2 or 3 separate projects and are in a world of hurt and cannot close.
So
And a
whose
lot of them are
fault
real
is
estate
that,
agents.
though?
A lot of them real estate.
A lot of
Well,
them are
there's-
realtors.
First of
for
all,
sure.
there's a law. There's a law and there's rules in these agreements that says you won't do this. So the fact that people are doing this,
But how
is,
do they got to
some-
check it? No, the builder has
That's,
to like.
that's great, TK. I just drove on the highway. There's a big sign that says 100.
Yeah.
But I mean, good luck
Right?
to you.
That's
I
right.
know, but you know what I mean?
Find
Like, so
someone driving
who's
100.
responsible for this? I don't feel bad for the people. I know it's tough love here, but I had a guy the other day. He's like, I got 6 of them, and his payment was like 30 grand a month, and he's closing on them all privately.
Closing
why
on
I
them
do
all.
feel badly for people in just a bit of a sense. Like, I get it. People are going to get their reckoning. I'm not trying to tell you government should be intervening here or anything else. No, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. But what's really sad, and this is, I love Canada dearly. I'm a big fan of Canada and everything else, but I'm gonna bash the Canadian economy for a second. Canada doesn't have an economy. We do not have monies for businesses, for innovation, for anything really. All we have is real estate. And if you are someone who's peddlingly middle class, getting $60,000 a year, and you want to get rich, there is no better thing to do than to invest in real estate, because the Canadian economy is designed around it, because the banks will only lend you money for your secured assets, because you can't borrow at government rates for anything else on this planet. And so it's all well and good that we're sitting there going tut, 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 tut. But you know what? Every one of us at one point in life is aggressive and actually sits there and says, I'm going to make something for myself and I'm going to take some risks. These people took the risk. They're going to face the consequence. It doesn't mean you can't kind of feel for them, given that we're set up in a system that just doesn't care. You can go ahead. You can have the best idea in the world. Good luck to you trying to get any money for it. Good luck to you getting any government support for it. The government will applaud you once you're successful to Shopify, but we only produce 1 Shopify to every 10 that the Americans do. And that's not a factor of our size. I'm talking about relative to our size. It's just we do not foster innovation, we do not foster business, and we do not care to actually have anyone invest in anything other than real estate. And so can you really complain when you have a young buckshot who's 20 years old who's saying, screw it, I'm going to take my risk and the only thing that I actually can make money in? I don't know that I blame them. They face the consequence for sure. No government bailouts. Fuck you. But
you can do a startup. You can do a tech startup. It just has to be prop tech. It can't be anything else, right? You better have some sort of real estate technology in it, and then you stand a chance as well too. But you're right.
But
this is the economy we're in.
Hey guys, thanks for watching our Clips channel. Why don't you go and check out some more clips? We got lots of other good content somewhere over here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Boom.
That was good.
That was good. I like that. That was good.